What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Hideo Kojima's OD. This is maybe one of the last, maybe it is the last of the kind of Game Awards games I really want to focus on and make a dedicated video to. And look, I'm sure we'll talk about this game a lot going forward over the next several years. This game excites me quite a bit. And if I were to make like a ranking video of, say, like the top 10 games, not just next year, 2024, but like, games that we have no idea, BioShock and GTA and all these games that are coming out, say, in the next 2 to 5 years, I think this game would probably be on that top 10. And it's a mix of what we saw at the Game Awards. And, it only adds a little bit. It's mainly because of what we already know, I'd say, about this game that gets me very, very hyped. But, we see a little trailer, if you can call it that, at the Game Awards. Hideo walking through the door. That was a little interesting there. And I think a lot of people kind of spotted that in the moment. I think this game can be quite good. Now, what I want to talk about very briefly, because it is kind of confusing, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a link to the Reddit post where the person was breaking this down. But what this basically entails is this man behind me, who I also cannot pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try it. When he's talking, you can actually, it's a blink and you miss moment. You can actually see letters, I believe, in his mouth. And so if we just read this post, and I'll leave a link so you can read like the entire thing. When you put everything together, all the letters, you get the word Atami, A-T-A-M-I. And that's a city in Japan, which is located in a place that, again, I cannot pronunciate. Now, if you translate that place, it literally translates to quiet and silent, and also hill. So this is what I want, like, this is part of this video that I want to bring in. I was already excited for this game. Seeing these people shout and act scared and stuff, it's like, all right, I'm in. I have no idea what's happening. It's kind of wild. Is it even in game? Is it even something that's gonna be in the game? I don't know, but it gets me pumped, okay? Seeing Hideo out there talking with Jordan Peele, talking about like getting like 7 legendary samurais, like this guy's from a different universe. It's gonna be cool. I think Guillermo del Toro is probably gonna be involved in something like this. I think it's gonna be a blast, okay? So that's part of, I guess, what we had learned and some of that we already knew, but now we get this. And I'm not saying this is like the sequel to PT or Silent Hill, but this actually connects to what makes me the most excited. And I'm not going to spoil too much because it was leaks, but back a little while ago, this game leaked, okay? This was that overdose, right? And there was actually quite a bit of gameplay. It was actually quite notorious, right? The guy who recorded it, he was recording it, I believe, from a laptop, and he was like half naked, like he was shirtless, and you could see that like through the camera on the screen. It was weird. It was a very weird situation, but again, without spoiling it, in case you don't want to know, and the first time we see gameplay, you want that to be the first time. The game looks quite good. And the premise of the game and how like you're supposed to scare people using the Xbox Cloud and how other people can kind of enter the game and manipulate it, let's say. Trying to spoil it a little bit without spoiling all of it. It looked really cool. Like visually, it looked good, but also just the concept of it. And then when you remember PT, you remember it's Hideo Kojima, and you say, just from what we know, then we know it's horror, then you kind of start to understand how the horror element is in this game and how other people can impact the horror. It sounds legendary. Like, it sounds really, really cool. And then when you have a small little nod or wink to Silent Hill / PT with this, it's like, again, I'm not saying this is the PT that he was never able to make, but considering it's horror, I heavily assume that a lot of the ideas and concepts that were going to be in PT or Silent Hill when the full game came out, right? I imagine that's just recycled, and used and added to for a game like this. So it's not even necessarily what we learned in the trailer that we got. In fact, it actually became more weird. It was less weird with the shirtless guy. That was actually like the less weird part. Now it's a little bit now it's more Hideo Kojima, right? You see that trailer and you say, yeah, that's him. Before, with the gameplay, minus the guy, no, looked actually like a normal game with a kind of weird concepts and like different pushing the industry forward, as Hideo Kojima does quite often. You put all that together, you put a pretty good cast, and like the cast that he unveiled is not even the full cast, right? In fact, the leaked gameplay is a different person, we'll just say, without spoiling it. That wasn't even mentioned here. So there's a whole lot more to this. I also don't think it like just started yesterday. This has been in the works for, well, obviously we know that, but in case people were wondering, like, this has been in the works for several years. The gameplay was a while ago, and there was even stuff before that. So this game hopefully doesn't take too long. Hideo actually moves at a pretty fast pace. You look at Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2, he can crank these games out at a reasonable, actually an above industry average pace. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game 2-3 years away, that's it, which is not that bad. And I'm excited, especially when you remember that this guy can do horror. He can do horror in kind of different ways that you maybe haven't seen before. Using this technology, it's going to be things that you haven't seen before, and it's probably going to be terrifying. It might not even be a game that I can finish because of how scary. I don't know. So I'm very excited. And again, it's not just from the trailer that added to it. It made it weirder. It made it more classic Hideo Kojima. But just the idea of the horror and what we've already seen. And, now I do feel like it's a nod, right? Or a nod or a wink saying, hey, like I was going to do something quite cool and I was stopped, in a terrible, terrible way, but I'm still going to do it. I'm just going to do it in a slightly different way. And I'm not saying he's doing all of that by having words appear in this guy's mouth, but, you never know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.